Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's 6 p.m. Cairo local time. Time to have our news bulletin from Channel 2, and we start with the main headlines. On his social account, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserts that terrorism is still trying to destroy the nation. Thousands of Egyptians gathered in key squares and streets nationwide in support rallies of their political leadership. The Foreign Ministry strongly rejected a report by the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on human rights conditions in Egypt. Welcome back. The details. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received today a phone call from Bahraini King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa on the latest developments in the region. Both Arab leaders stressed the significance of coordinating efforts to face the region's challenges in order to preserve the Arab national security. During the call, the Bahraini King expressed his country's appreciation to Egypt's efforts, which enhance the regional and international peace and security. He also hailed the distinguished bilateral ties, saying that he is keen on boosting cooperation between both countries in all domains. For his part, President al-Sisi said Egypt values the strong relations between the two countries and peoples. President al-Sisi also reiterated that there are ongoing consultations and coordination mechanisms with Bahrain on the Arab region's issues and latest developments. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi directed today the quick implementation of public enterprises comprehensive reforms. This came during the President's meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Public Enterprises Sector Dr. Hisham Tawfiq. During the meeting, the head of state also reviewed a plan to develop the sector's companies, especially those of the textile and weaving sector. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserted that terrorism is still trying to destroy the nation, but the Egyptian people and army are fighting it firmly by all means. On his social media account, President al-Sisi praised the Egyptian heroes who sacrificed their lives to defend the country. President al-Sisi added that the battle of combating terrorism has not ended yet, noting that such a threat will not be uprooted without the strong will and determination of all the Egyptians. The General Commander of the Armed Forces issued a statement on the latest efforts of combating terrorism in collaboration with the police forces. The statement said that one officer and 9 soldiers fell martyrs during the operations. The Army and police forces destroyed 33 hideouts as well as 7 4x4 vehicles used by the terrorists. The statement added that both the Army and police killed 118 terrorists. Other 35 vehicles and 42 motorcycles without metal plates were destroyed. The Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Al-Imam Al-Akbar, Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, hailed the efforts exerted by the army and police forces in fighting terrorism. Al-Tayyib also paid condolences for the families of the martyrs and those who sacrificed their souls for the sake of the country. This came as thousands of Egyptians gathered in rallies yesterday in key squares and streets nationwide in support for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. In Cairo's Nasser City district, Egyptians flooded to the area of the memorial of the unknown soldier, carrying banners "No to Chaos" and "No to Terrorism." Elsewhere in Alexandria, the second largest city, a huge rally brought together people under the banner "No to Chaos" and called for maintaining the nation's security and stability under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Also in Sheikh Zayed city, people organized a public conference in support for the president, voicing their rejection to chaos and any attempts to destabilize the country. The Foreign Ministry strongly rejected a report by the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on human rights conditions in Egypt. The ministry's spokesperson, Councillor Ahmed Hafid, rejected what was mentioned in the report, saying that it was not acceptable to see this kind of documents coming from the United Nations body. Hafiz criticized the report for lacking accuracy and being based on assumptions and impressions that only aimed at disseminating information that was contradictory to reality and facts on the ground. He asserted that Egyptian authorities abide by the law and acted with clarity and transparency when they took legal action against any person.
إن مصر تخوض يوميا حربا ضروسا ضد التنظيمات الإرهابية في شمال سيناء حيث يتم استئصال الإرهاب بأقل خسائر ممكنة. إن معركتنا هي جزء من الحرب العالمية ضد الإرهاب وحريصون على مد يد العون والشراكة لكل حلفائنا في المعركة. المواجهة الشاملة تعني بالضرورة مواجهة كافة أبعاد ظاهرة الإرهاب فيما يتصل بالتمويل والتسليح والدعم السياسي والأيديولوجي، فالإرهابي ليس فقط من يحمل السلاح. الولايات المتحدة قادرة على المساهمة في إحداث النقلة النوعية المطلوبة دوليا، بحيث يتم صياغة خطة عمل واضحة بإطار زمني محدد تبتث الإرهاب من جذوره تمويلا وتسليحا.
On behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Minister of Defense and the General Commander of the Armed Forces, Mohammed Zaki, late today arrived at the memorial of late President Gamal Abdel Nasser in commemoration of the 49th anniversary of his death. The commemoration was attended by a number of senior officials of the armed forces and the family of the late president. The defense minister then met with the family of the late president, conveying the gratitude of President al-Sisi and the Egyptian people to the sincere national efforts exerted by Nasser. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry convened with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on means of promoting bilateral cooperation as well as regional and international issues of mutual concern. The meeting also tackled the latest developments in the negotiations of the so-called Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Shoukry asserted that the issue of the Nile water is essential for all Egyptians. The meeting with his Burundi counterpart Ezechiel Nibegra, Shoukry reviewed the latest negotiations on the so-called Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, expressing Egypt's concern for the long-term negotiations. Shoukry stressed the importance of negotiations with good maintenance and to reach a just settlement that considers the three states' benefit. For his part, Burundi's foreign minister expressed his country's understanding to the importance of the Nile River to Egypt, as it is the only source of water to the Egyptians. Still with the meetings of the foreign minister, Shoukry met his South Sudanese counterpart, Awoding Akwel, on the sidelines of the 74th meetings of the UNGA. Shoukry stressed Egypt's keenness on boosting bilateral ties, stressing Egypt's keen interest on maintaining South Sudan's stability and security. The meeting tackled the Ethiopian so-called Renaissance Dam negotiations and expressing Egypt's concern on the long-range negotiations. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held another meeting with the United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen. Spokesperson for Foreign Ministry, Councillor Ahmed Hafid, said that Egypt is keen to provide the needed support to settle the crisis in Syria, as well as restore its stability and security. Meanwhile, Shoukry asserted that Egypt welcomes the declaration of the Constitutional Commission, also confirming the necessity of cooperating to fight terrorism and terrorist organizations on the Syrian soil, especially those in Idlib. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met with his Indian counterpart Sabra Mayam Jaishankar on the sidelines of the UNGA meetings in New York. Councillor Ahmed Hafid, the Foreign Ministry spokesperson, announced that the meeting reviewed bilateral ties and the latest developments in the past few years. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson also stressed that there is such an importance of boosting bilateral ties, especially on the economic level, for the best interest of both peoples. Cairo Criminal Court referred 7 defendants to the Grand Mufti in the case dubbed by media as Helwan and Al Giza cells. The court identified the coming 12th of November for the final judgment. However, the state security prosecution accused the defendants of committing murder and murder attempts and first-degree genocide as well as possessing explosive devices and weapons. The defendants also face charges of joining illegal group aiming to hurt the national peace and security. To some regional news, where the United Nations Special Envoy for Syria said that the Syrian government and opposition should move forward on larger-scale prisoner exchanges to build confidence ahead of their first talks since next month, inshallah, in more than a year. We have more details.
The United Nations Special Envoy for Syria said the Syrian government and opposition should move forward on large-scale prisoner exchange to build confidence ahead of their first talks next month in more than a year. The United Nations announced on Monday the formation of a constitutional committee for Syria, a long-awaited step in a stalled peace process. UN officials say such a committee is key to political reforms and new elections meant to unify Syria and end a war that has killed hundreds of thousands and displaced about half of the pre-war 22 million population. According to a letter sent to the Security Council from the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, the committee will meet under UN auspices in Geneva on October 30th. A Congress convened by Russia, a leading ally of President Bashar al-Assad, asked the United Nations to form a committee to draft a new constitution after many rounds of talks to end the war had failed. The body will comprise 150 people split 3 ways between the government, opposition and civil society, with each side selecting 15 people to prepare and draft constitutional proposals.
A British flag tanker that was detained by Iran for 10 weeks docked in Dubai today after a standoff that has stoked tensions along a vital global shipping route for oil. The Sina Impero, which sailed out of Iranian waters on Friday, was seized by Iran's Revolutionary Guards on July 19th, shortly after British forces detained an Iranian tanker off the territory of Gibraltar. The Iranian ship was released in August. The chief executive of Sweden's Stina Bach said the crew would receive medical checks and would be debriefed in Dubai, which lies across the Gulf from Iran, before traveling home to their families. Democrats charged aggressively into an impeachment investigation of President Donald Trump, ordering Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to turn over Ukraine-related documents and scheduling testimony for witnesses to alleged abuse of power by the U.S. leader. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi declared that the impeachment investigation would move quickly, saying evidence from the whistleblowers' complaint against Trump of abuse of power and an attempted cover-up was unambiguous. Pelosi added that the clarity of the president's actions is compelling and gave them a choice not except moving forward. Afghans voted in presidential elections amid tight security today, even as insurgents attacked polling centers in a series of blasts and clashes across the country that left at least 2 people dead. The first round vote marks the culmination of a bloody election campaign that, despite a large field of candidates, is seen as a close race between Ashraf Ghani and his bitter rival Abdullah Abdullah, the country's chief executive. Welcome back. President Donald Trump's administration is considering delisting Chinese companies from U.S. stock exchanges. 3 sources briefed on the matter and said in what would be a radical escalation of U.S.-China trade tensions. The move would be part of a broader effort to limit U.S. investments in Chinese companies. 2 of the sources confirmed, as one of them said it was motivated by the Trump administration's growing security concerns about the company's activities. by this we come to the end of our news bulletin. On behalf of our director Hani Abdullah, our editor-in-chief Heba Khairi, and myself Nermina Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching.